Quang Nguyen's going to be calling in.
All right.
I hope. Because I got nothing else if he doesn't. Keep that AC going, man. It's hot. Hot out. Love me some summertime. What's up, boys and girls on the streams? Good to see you today. Oh, I have this. Just sitting here. Oh, I should do something with it. There, she just wants to be played. I'm going to have to play with this for a little bit. When I get done doing what I'm doing. Good heavens. Can't play any songs I want to play because you know what they'll do? Shut me down. Copyright infringement. Let's see. Let me know when you got Quang on.
No Quang yet.
No Quang yet? All right, I just shot him a text. If not, we're going to take latest news and talk about it.
All right, there he is.
All right. All right, guys, we'll see you in just a minute.
All right, he's on hold.
Roger that.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by the National Rifle Association from the 6 Hour Studios on the Patriot Mobile Platinum microphone.
They're never going to stop us here.
Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's garbage day at the ranch here at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center Ranch. How the heck are you today? Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day in the 6 Hour Studios, Monday through Friday, in front of this Patriot Mobile mic. And it's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. We're going to talk a little bit about them coming up in a few minutes, because the giveaway with the AAR promo code is on fire. And I'm going to tell you now, if you want one of these bags, and I'll show it to you, because I can't show it to you over the airwaves. I'll tell you about it over the airwaves. But if you're watching the program on any of your devices or your TV set, I'm going to hold it up and show you exactly what you get, what a lot of people have already taken advantage of. So if you're going to want one of these, you're going to want to get in on here quick, unless we can get another allotment, because they are moving swiftly. And like you, I'm a big fan of free stuff, especially when it's really cool free stuff that you can use. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing, my brother from another mother?
Not too bad. Here we are, Wednesday. It's top of the hill.
4th of July weekend upon us.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we is.
So let's get a little bit of business out of the way. What we're going to be doing, we have a show for you tomorrow, of course. Friday we'll be running an encore, because we'll be off for the 4th like everybody else. And then we will see you live on Sunday's Monster Cast. That sound like a plan, Greg?
I mean, it sounds like what we usually do.
Pretty much, yeah, right? I think we're going to run last week's first hour on the Monster Cast, because it was that good. And it's talking about the short act and the NFA. And
that's the John Comerford interview.
Yeah, it's a John Comerford, NRA, ILA, and it was very prophetic when you look at what happened after that between just the last 3 days. And we'll talk a little bit about that with our guest Quang Nguyen here coming up in just a second. But we are live on Facebook. If you want to watch us on Facebook, you can certainly do that. Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. And Greg, you can tell everybody where else to go and participate in the chat and all that fine stuff. Then we'll get going with our guest for the hour, Quang Nguyen from Arizona.
Sure, you can also watch the show over on YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, it's at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, and select your watch live or listen live option. If you'd like to join our live chat, all you have to do is download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
That'll bring you in. We appreciate it. Let's go to Quang Nguyen, Arizona State Representative, and also the chairman of the House Judiciary there in the beautiful state of Arizona. And Quang, I love you, man. I was just out in the Valley of the Sun a few weeks ago. You know that. I miss it. How are you today, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you? It's good to be on the show again.
Always good to hear your voice. Always fun to talk to you. I want to make listeners clear. You called me last night. It was about 11 o'clock Eastern time last night. We have to battle a 3-hour time change, ladies and gentlemen. So the phones stay on pretty much 24/7 when we do business on the West Coast after our business on the East Coast. And Quang, I wish I'm hopeful we can replicate that conversation, because some of your concerns last night during that phone call were incredibly valid. And if maybe we can bring that conversation back to life, it's kind of tough to do, but I'm hoping we can, because as we talked last night, your disappointment in the parliamentarian and what happened in the Senate, and I'd like you to enlighten listeners as a state representative how you felt about that. And let's just kind of go there. Let's see if we can replicate last night's private call on the radio.
Yeah, so 8:30 my time, 11:30 your time. Thanks for picking up the phone last night. But, I'm just frustrated that no matter how big of a majority we have, we seem to be falling behind because people aren't paying attention. And so then we'll have a situation where an unelected official, a bureaucrat, can actually dictate to the U.S. Senate what can be in a bill, what rules are being violated. And clearly she was wrong, but, as Republicans, we are not standing up. We are just kind of go along and, I'm just frustrated as an elected official myself. Fortunately, we don't have such a person to stop me from what I'm doing. And so, yeah, I was frustrated enough to call you last night and kind of vent a little bit. But, one of the things that I always say is when you feel bad, call Mark Walters. He'll make you feel better.
Well, I tried, and sometimes it's not easy to do. Last night, I'm still, believe it or not, I'm still optimistic here. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about what the Senate parliamentarian did in I got to be careful here, clearly a partisan move on her part as a Democrat to gut the big, beautiful bill of its National Firearms Act provisions that were added by the U.S. Senate, that being the Short Act, and gutting the provisions that applied to the registration for both short-barreled rifles and for suppressors, and then having to put the tax back in and rework it with registration still in place. And as you chew on this over time, and we're going to talk about it again tomorrow on the program as well, and we'll know a little bit more about what's going on, because Representative Andrew Clyde in Georgia has introduced an amendment back in the House to put it back in place. And like you and I, Quang, he's kind of over what's happening over at that parliamentarian deal. He says, get rid of her, fix the problem, override, do what you have to do to fix this problem. Now, do you think that's got legs? It's, he's introducing the amendment to remove those items, to put them back in that were removed. How do you think that will play out? Like you, I don't know, but let's just talk about it.
Look, I'm not in D.C. and I don't know either, but you and I seem to have a little bit of common sense here. So in the last 3 or 4 days, when you take a look at it, and the Twitter X was blowing up, Facebook was blowing up, and you would hope that either John Thune or J.D. Vance would kind of catch a little whiff of it, right? Or your assistant maybe catching it and said, Mr. Vice President, we might take this into serious consideration and propose to fire this woman, or John Thune. This is not good for the Republicans. This is not good for gun owners. This is not good for Americans. I mean, we only have the one thing in the Bill of Rights that's important to me outside of the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. I would dare say the Second Amendment is on top of the First Amendment. It's that important, and these two men are not paying attention to how we actually feel across the nation. And so there's quite a bit of frustration. I am not as optimistic as you because I've been at it for 5 years now. You can't really be optimistic too much when you have Republicans actually fighting Republicans. So I'm frustrated. I don't have anything else to add to the subject.
I got to unmute my mic because sometimes I say bad things when I'm listening to, because I'm working behind the scenes. Sometimes I can't let it out. But let me take you to the Gun Owners of America page right now. And the NRA is all over this as well. But the GOA has an urgent announcement out, an urgent alert, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to give you a phone number right now. But I want you to pay careful attention to this, because we can still gut the National Firearms Act. It can still be done. And, our good friend Eric Pratt published this just a little bit ago. Urgent action needed. Tell your representative to support Representative Clyde's amendment to repeal the NFA's tax and registration requirements. Right now, it's just the tax in the Senate. If nothing else is done, Quang, as you know, we won't pay the tax. Is that a victory? When we come back from the break, we'll talk a little bit about whether or not it's a victory. There's a lot of different ways to approach that. But right now, as it sits, just the tax is out, the registration is back in, simply because of the parliamentarian, period. And she can be overridden. And she wasn't. So we'll go there too. But from the GOA, support Representative Clyde's amendment to repeal the NFA's tax and registration requirements on suppressors and short-barreled firearms as part of President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. Here's a phone number I want you to take down, ladies and gentlemen. We'll give it to you during the break as well. It is 202-225-3121. That's 202-225-3121. Call your representative. Call that number. That's the House. Call that number, 202-225-3121. Representative Andrew Clyde from the great state of Georgia here, we love Clyde, has introduced a bold amendment to begin to repeal the NFA as part of Trump's big, beautiful bill. If passed, this amendment would eliminate the 200 tax stamp and registration requirements on suppressors and short-barreled firearms and tear down one of the most abusive laws ever imposed on law-abiding gun owners. But here's the catch, ladies and gentlemen, as the GOA points out. The anti-gunners in both parties are scrambling to pass the big, beautiful bill without this amendment included in the final bill. We cannot let them win. To connect with your representative, dial 202-225-3121. 202-225-3121. We'll be back to discuss more of it right after the break. following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show. I got an email late yesterday from Patriot Mobile reminding me that this phone is going to be flipped very shortly. So I'm looking forward to that. The customer service over there is second to none, ladies and gentlemen. And any of you that have an American Express card know what really good quality customer service is like. Patriot Mobile's right there with them. They're on that level. And it is fantastic customer service. Welcome back inside the 6 Hour Studios with me, Mark Walters, on the Patriot Mobile microphone. It's all being brought to you by the NRA. So, Greg, Texas Huntsman in the chat. Oh, see, now this is fun. I understand Texas Huntsman doesn't like when we talk about aliens. So this one's for you, TX Huntsman. We're going to play the alien music, the X-Files music, while I read your comment here about suppressors. Texas Huntsman, I hope he's probably cracking up right now. I know I am. Good heavens. Yes, it can still be done, meaning the NFA, gutting the NFA. That is not the point. We should have never been here to begin with, and in capital bold letters. If it stays the way it is now, all the GOP accomplished is in time allowing the Dems, when they get power again, to reinstitute the tax and put it so high nobody but rich Democrats will be able to afford suppressors. Ooh. Now, Texas Huntsman, you're correct about that. However, there's something that we have to keep in mind. Yeah, I know we shouldn't be here to begin with. You're right, we shouldn't. But we are. This is where we are. We can't ignore that. We cannot refuse to accept the situation, right? Guys, if you ever had a bill collector coming at you at some point in your life, at some point you're going to have to read them. You're going to have to read those letters. You're going to have to answer that phone call. At some point, you can't refuse to accept the situation. It's just going to get worse. This is where we are. So this is the point. This is the position we have to argue from, where we're at. And TX Huntsman, you're right. It should never have been that way, but it is. So what we need to do now, and then below that, Susie says, I won't bother calling. My representatives here are all Democrats. And I know Susie lives in Nevada. Nevada, I was going to say Arizona, out in Las Vegas. It says, my reps here are all Democrats, with an I, Democrats, as well as both senators. Waste of a phone call. Whenever I email them, they always come back with a, I support the Second Amendment, but. So let me say this to you, Susie, and I know you well for many, many years. It doesn't matter. You got to make the phone call. You gotta let it. We cannot say. Imagine if everybody said that. Okay, I'm not going to call it's a waste of time. You know who my two senators are? John Goofball Ossoff and Warnock, both of whom supported Stacey Abrams. What does that tell you about these two clown-wearing, clown shoe-wearing morons? And that's exactly what they are. But I call them anyway and remind them that this is a red state and that my gun rights matter. You have to let them know. I know it's hard to do, but you have to. And TX Huntsman, we have to approach this. It was a great comment, by the way, brother. I appreciate it very much. Hope you had fun with that music. We did that specifically for you. But we have to. We cannot refuse to accept that this is where we are right now, and we've got to work from where we are. We can't look back. Talking about this now is Quang Nguyen, the House Judiciary Chair in Arizona, who has frustrated the Democrats for his years in office out there. And what did you cut? Remind me again. You reminded me last night, 70-some out of 90-some anti-gun bills. You just wasted them, right?
Yeah, so there were 90 anti-gun bills introduced since 2023, and I killed 74 of them. So the Senate took care of the leftover. But, besides the point, what if I call you one day, Mark, and I said, you know what, Mark? I'm just a tiny little bit communist. I'm not all communist. I'm just a little communist, right? So that's my analogy to this little thing that we're removing, the little tax stamp here, but we're going to keep the registration. Let's just throw up a little bit, not a whole lot. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm frustrated.
Well, you should be. But I want you to comment on my response to the two commenters in the chat. Okay, to both Texas Huntsman and to Susie. It is important that we call. Now, I know you're in a very bright red district, but do you ever hear from any Democrat constituents that identify themselves as such?
Well, let me tell you, I'm in the same boat as you are. We got Ruben Gallego and Mark Kelly, right?
Right, in Arizona.
no pun intended, but we're in the same boat, if you know what I mean. So I'm equally frustrated. Yes, I do write letters to these two clowns. I do try to get calls into them, but it's almost like, no, it just doesn't work. It doesn't quite work. They ignore you.
Yeah.
They're part of the Communist Party. They really don't care, Mark. And I don't mean to be negative about your encouragement of people to call into these guys, but man, they don't care.
Oh, I know they don't. But you know, that's what makes it more fun, honestly. And
Yeah.
there's some fun. I'm looking here on this chat here, Quang. The chat response is great. Martin says, Mark, did you just say it takes 2 senators to support Stacey Abrams? Martin, I get it. I get the joke. Oh, yeah. Probably 4. And Texas Huntsman responded because, of course, he's listening to the program live. He says, it's not that I'm out of the fight. I'm just pissed the GOP folded like a cheap tent. But rest assured, I have already been blowing up Nathan Moran, my representative, and that's a smart move. You need to do that. So yeah, it's just it is incredibly frustrating, particularly when the country is as polarized as it is. Do you think for 2 seconds I believe that Raphael Warnock is interested in having a conversation with me about guns? Not in this lifetime.
Absolutely not. Yep.
Not in this lifetime. Mark Kelly doesn't want to talk to you, and you're a state representative and elected official.
I have never received a response from him ever for anything.
As his home state's chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and you can't get a response from that loser.
No. And then I will tell you, let's look at the other side of the coin, right? I mean, John Thune is going to be reelected. No matter what happens to this bill, no matter what happens to the NFA and all these things that are happening that we're unhappy with, these guys will be reelected. For the life of me, I can't understand why either people aren't paying attention or they're just living free and casual, having your latte coffee and go about the same thing every day.
I'm going to run out of time here, but I want to follow up on that in the next segment because that's easily a 1-segment conversation is about the reelection and so forth. And I do want to talk about the parliamentarian as well. We're going to combine those two in that next segment because the frustration is very, very real out there. It's palpable. And I do not for the life of me, and I'm going to ask you as an elected official who understands more about procedure. Now, the procedure is going to be different in the Arizona House than it will be in the House of Representatives in the United States, but there's a lot of similarities. But let's try to get into the psychology behind why Thune wouldn't respond in a negative way to a Democrat appointed by Harry Reid, who gutted a bill that a president in his party wants him to. We're going to go there. Here comes the music. When we come back, we'll talk with Quang Nguyen about this. I want to get into the psychology behind this because it fascinates me why the Republicans will always reach out and clench defeat from the jaws of victory. It just doesn't make any sense to me, and we'll talk with Quang Nguyen, who is Arizona State Representative, House of Representative, also the Arizona House Judiciary Chair. We'll be right back. All right, guys, let me dig down here again. I want to show you guys this this bag. It's moving quick. This is the National Rifle Association bag that you're going to get, the range bag. And it's kind of flat because I have the binoculars in it, but I'll show you both. But this is the NRA range bag here. Perfect size for the range. Great couple pouches there for a couple magazines. It's very big when you open it up. But it's not one of those huge monsters that you're going to, stuff all your stuff in, like on a flight or something. So you can fit just what you need in here and do it perfectly. Now, that you're going to get this bag if you join the National Rifle Association for a 1-year or 3-year membership. You're going to get this bag. It's going to come to you. Now, we're going to run out of these. I can promise you that. So you want to get on this quickly if you want the bag. If you sign up for a 3 to 5-year membership, you're going to get this. And this is the 10x42 binoculars. And these things are super high quality, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you could feel the weight of them and just the texture of them. These are super high quality. And they come with these. Got these taken out for you, little rubber end caps for them, both in the eyepiece. And they're 10 by 42. And this is for a 5-year or life membership. Now, we're going to run out of these. What I will tell you is I've been told today that we might be able to grab a couple hundred more for I'm not sure. I wouldn't want you to take the chance. If I don't want you to hear me say in 2 weeks from now that everything's gone. We've got a few hundred of them left, okay? We started out with 700 and I think 750 yesterday. We're at 720. We're going to run out of these things. But we need your support over at the National Rifle Association. And I don't have the Facebook page up, but I got another comment. I've seen several of them. And guys, I get them. I can't do it because we're up live, so I don't want to change that. But essentially it was, I stopped giving to the National Rifle Association. I'm spending my money on Second Amendment Foundation and others because the NRA still has things to prove to me. And my response to that is, look, I completely understand where you're coming from. I was there until I sat and talked with management at the National Rifle Association and understand and know firsthand where they're going. Again, moving forward, all right? As much as I hate to say this, I'm not going to call the individual out by name because I do understand his position clearly. You've got to look forward. You cannot look backwards, all right? It's a $35 for a 1-year membership. You don't have to donate anything else. Get the membership. Become a part of the organization again, and this individual was. So do like I did. Rejoin the organization. Help us move forward, all right? That's where we need you. We need your voice pushing this boat forward. We cannot look back. Forget what the NRA did under Wayne LaPierre. They're gone. Reformers are now in control of the board, all right? Help us out here. Help us move forward. This kind of stuff we're talking about. If you don't think for 2 seconds that the NRA ILA is working feverishly behind the scenes on this NFA, they are. I can tell you, I can promise you that they are. And the weight of the NRA carries a lot more weight than you, even more weight than Stacey Abrams, okay? The NRA is still the 800-pound gorilla in the room. So join them, nra.org/AAR. Get this cool stuff. Yeah, the 5-year membership's only $125. That's where I went, and that's with the AAR discount on top of the range bag and everything else. So jump in, man. The water's warm, okay? Help us out here. We need the assistance. Getting ready to go back live with you. Here we go. The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show indeed. Mark Walters in the 6 Hour Studios with you here every single day, Monday through Friday, in front of this powerful Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center microphone. And all of it is being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. During the break, I reminded viewers and held up the range bag that you get and the binoculars that you get if you join up on the 2-tier deal with the National Rifle Association using the AAR promo code. We're going to run out of these things, guys. I can tell you that right now. We've got less than 700 left. The promotion just started. So here's the deal real quick. If you join the National Rifle Association, you can visit armedamericanradio.com and click on the NRA deal, or you can just go to nra.org/AAR. The landing page, I believe, has already been changed to reflect the bag on it. I got an email on that today. They actually put it on a different site, but they've added it to the right site today. If it's not up there right now, it will be before the end of this live show. I can promise you that. But regardless, nra.org/AAR. A 1-year membership, $35 with the AAR discount, and you're going to get a free range bag, which is cool and worth the $35 all by itself. It's not something you got to win. You're going to get it. And when they're gone, and they're going to move quick, guys. It's that simple. They already are. I just heard today. So take advantage of that. That's with a 1-year or 5-year membership, or 1-year or 3-year membership. If you sign up for a 5-year or life membership, you get the binoculars, the 10 by 42 binoculars, emblazoned with the NRA logo on it, plus the cool stuff and the discount. I did the 5-year, $125, guys, with the discount for a 5-year membership. Those of you who are concerned about the past NRA, I'm asking you to get over it. I'm asking you to look forward and help us Move the NRA forward. Help us step on the gas. The NRA ILA is very involved with the very topic we're talking about right now, as are the other gun rights organizations trying to bring this across the finish line. And if we can't get what we want, we're going to hold people accountable. And let me make this very clear. The NRA is the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and now moving forward, with your help, we make them the 1,000-pound gorilla in the room, guys. It's still the largest organization in the world, and we need your support. Help us bring this stuff across the finish line. And if we can't and we only get part of what we want, help us hold those idiots accountable. And some of those idiots we're talking about right now with Quang Nguyen, Arizona House Representatives, and the chairman of the House Judiciary in the great state of Arizona. So, Quang, let's talk a little bit about the psychology here. And you and I discussed this last night. It is very disheartening when you have a parliamentarian who has been installed by a Democrat in a second Trump administration, and Trump is cleaning house. You got to wonder why he hasn't asked anybody to clean the house in the Senate so that this kind of nonsense doesn't happen in the first place. Number one, why do you because believe me, if Trump had asked for that, it would have been done. So I'm curious as to why you think Trump didn't ask for that, or maybe you disagree and think he did, and Thune just thumbed his nose at him. I doubt that happened, but it could have. Let's start there. Why is she there?
Yeah, so it could happen, and we have the same situation here. You have certain people with ego as big as the size of a truck, right? They just don't want to make the change. They just want to go along. Now, fortunately, we don't have that situation here in the state of Arizona. But let's go back to why people like Thune are always getting reelected to go along. I'll tell you why. It's this familiarity.
We are losing Quang's signal. Quang, we're going to let you get situated where you're at. I'm sure you can probably still hear me, but we're losing your phone signal. And I really don't want to lose his signal right now. I want to hear what he has to say about this. Greg, do we want to? Driving. Yeah, I think he stopped.
You can tend to find it.
Quang, we're losing you there, brother. See if you can come back to me real quick. Otherwise, we're going to have to ask you to drop the call and call back.
Okay, we'll drop the call and call back.
All right, go ahead. All right, so Greg, he's going to drop that call. Guys, I can't. I want to hear what he has to say about this. He was going in the direction of Thune. Now, I'm not going to sit here and belittle John Thune. There is likely something going on behind the scenes that I'm unaware of. I'm trying to be fair here. But the absolutist in me says, get rid of her, fix the problem, and step on the Democrats' neck just like they would step on yours. We've got Quang Nguyen back. We'll try the phone connection again. Quang, are you back? We can hear you better, I hope?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
So you were going into John Thune, and you said you had a similar situation there in Arizona. Please continue.
Okay. So, for example, if you were to try to primary me out of Legislative District 1 in Arizona, you're going to have to spend millions of dollars because people are so familiar with my work, what I do, and my name, even though I got somewhat of a strange name. It's going to be very difficult to convince people that John Thune is a bad guy, not a good guy for the Second Amendment, not a good guy for working on budgeting and so on. And so the mentality is almost like, oh, I've seen his name before, so I'm just going to vote for him. Same thing with, okay, Mr. Trump might have called him and said, hey, get rid of this woman. And he was just like, nah, I don't think I want to rock the boat. I think I'm just going to do the everyday thing that people expect me to do and forget that. Just go along, get along past the budget. Screw these Second Amendment people. That's going to be your attitude. And I don't understand the mentality behind that, but I don't know how to fix it. If you put me in Washington, D.C., I'm stuck in first gear as well.
Yeah, I find it. Let me stop you for a second because I think if Trump had mentioned that to him, he likely would have done it. I know Trump has been speaking highly of him. We do not have time to go into the rhino aspect of these guys individually. I mean, these guys have been there long enough. We can go back and look at everything they've done and pick them apart. We don't have time to do that in the time remaining on the show. But when it comes to this specific issue, I'm trying to be fair. And guys, the absolutist in us sometimes gets us in trouble as well, okay? That if I can't get the whole piece of pie, I don't want any of the pie. And I've seen that do damage in multiple states across the country. It happened in Texas with open carry. That was likely delayed a couple years because our side just didn't play smart pool. And our side eventually admitted we didn't play smart pool and fixed the problem. Okay, and I'm not naming names there. We're all guilty of it. I've been guilty of it myself. But you got to step back, Quang, and sometimes take a breather and go, okay, if I can't get this now, I'm likely not going to get an answer as to why. Let's take this while we have it and then work to fix the problem, whatever we have to do. If we can't rid ourselves of this parliamentarian now, let's take what we can get now to get this bill to Trump's desk. Now, the absolutist out there is going to say, then don't even put the bill on his desk. Okay, that's not going to happen. That's not realistic. You've got to be pragmatic about this stuff, right? I mean, that's just politics.
So let me just say this to you and your audience. Let's be clear about this. If you line up 100 Republican legislators, 98 of them would not be able to recite the Second Amendment. Does that make sense?
Yeah. We talked about it last night, folks.
We should be able to win, but since we don't understand the problems, we cannot come to a solution. We cannot make up our minds if we truly do not understand the simple, basic, fundamental rights of being able to defend yourself. And that's how sad it is. I guarantee you, you line up 100 Republicans, 98 will not be able to tell you or recite the Second Amendment. Period. That's our problem.
Yeah, they'll be able to recite the last few words, 4 words, shall not be infringed. Yep. How many times have you heard that on the floor of the Arizona legislature, Quang?
Every single day, every other day. And on the Arizona side of it, shall not be impaired. You cannot go beyond that. You can or you cannot articulate that. And so I think it has to start there. We have to ourselves understand the Second Amendment and what it means to be able to arm and defend yourself and your home. Until we understand that, we're just not going anywhere. People just don't care. Legislators don't care. They're going to get elected. They're going to go serve 6-8 years. And Mark, I can spend 3 hours with you and not come up with an answer.
I know. And here's the frustration, ladies and gentlemen. Quang and I talk about these things off air as well. The conversations get very, very passionate because we care about these issues. And at the same time, we've got to try to be fair here. And it's hard to do. It's hard to do. But hopefully we do the best that we can, and you appreciate it. When we come back, we've got one more segment left with Quang Nguyen. Please don't go away. hour closer to starting our weekend.
Yeah.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Indeed. Welcome back, Attorneys on Retainer. Again, I'm going to say this every single day because it is just one of those no-brainer things. Don't be caught with your pants down, ladies and gentlemen. It's not necessary. You don't want to be in that position, okay? And by that, I mean if you have to use your firearm for a self-defense use, you are going to be investigated, period. You're going to be investigated. And the cops are going to want to talk to you during that investigation. Are you going to talk to them? Because you're not entitled to an attorney given to you by the state during an investigation. But if you have attorneys on retainer, nope, you can deal with my attorney. And the attorneys on retainer will handle it. If you get out of that, great. If not, and you're charged, guess what happens? You're stuck with a free attorney or you're mortgaging everything you own. It is not necessary to do. I cannot emphasize this enough. Just real simple for 35 bones a month. Get yourself some peace of mind. attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. That says, thank you for supporting Armed American Radio. Hook me up, brother. I want legal protection, and I want it in advance right now for $35 a month. And if something ever happens, God forbid, I don't want to pay any more than $35 a month. I just got done with a 2-year lawsuit, ladies and gentlemen. I know how expensive attorneys are, okay? They don't come cheap. Not good ones, anyway. Everybody likes to rag attorneys all day long until they need one. And then they want the best they can get, and that comes at a cost, okay? It's already there for you for $35 a month. It's the only law firm in the country that does nothing but self-defense law, all right? And we'll talk about that and more about that in upcoming shows, and we'll bring them back on the program and talk about some of the cases that they've won, because they have won hundreds of these cases. And you do not want to find yourself in a situation in the slammer without an attorney, and that's why you're in the slammer. When I guarantee you're going to look back and go, oh my God, $35 a month, why didn't I do that? You don't want to be put in that situation, okay? You look at a young lady like Kayla Giles, who was convicted and put in the slammer and had a USCCA program that bailed on her. And boom. And who is involved now? Attorneys on retainer. Louisiana Supreme Court, State Supreme Court, just tossed her murder conviction. So watch what happens next now that Attorneys for Freedom and Attorneys on Retainer are on this case. Okay? Should have never happened to begin with. It should have never happened. You don't want it happening to you, believe me. And you're listening to somebody who used a gun to defend himself. Thank God I didn't have to pull the trigger. Thank God. And an investigation would have occurred if someone had seen what happened that morning and called the cops. I wouldn't have had an attorney. Smarter than that now, and so are you. So do something about it. You can visit all of our great partners, including ammosquared.com. I got my mail today, Greg. You've got ammo, thousands of rounds now. 223, 9mm, and 10mm. It's just stacking up like crazy. I've got well over 1,000 bones in there. I'm not having it shipped to me yet. I just like watching the 401k aspect of it. Ammosquared.com. Barrel Buddies, clean your guns the right way. Check out all of our fine partners, including Bud's Gun Shop. They got a buy it and then try it deal for 30 days now. You can buy a firearm, sleep with it, shoot it, do what you want with it. If you don't like it, it's not for you, it doesn't fit you, give it back. Try something different. You have 30 days to make that call. Groundbreaking stuff. Our exclusive online retailer, budsgunshop.com. Check out all of our great partners. Crossbreed Holster's been with us from day one on this radio program, ladies and gentlemen, for a reason. These are great partners, great products, and we're really proud to have them in our stable, along with National Rifle Association and many, many others. SIG, Car Arms, wonderful folks. So, Greg, we've lost Quang. Quang's a very busy guy. Sine Die in Arizona was Friday, just last week, about 5 days ago. The session is done. They balanced the budget. Boom, they're finished. And now he's back at whatever he does regularly and got called himself into a meeting and couldn't get out of it. So we're appreciative that he gave us the 3 segments that he gave us. But, Greg, the frustration is mounting out there, bro. And we're going to talk about it again tomorrow with this. The fact that the parliamentarian deal was really shed some light on it. It was with me, too, as well. I'm not going to lie about that. I've been very honest about that. I did not know how that process worked to the extent that I do now, Greg. And it's very frustrating. When you talk about a guy like Thune, we've had the Thune Amendment. He has sponsored national concealed carry reciprocity for years. And the only reason the Thune Amendment wasn't added in was because McConnell wouldn't let it be brought up on the floor of the Senate. So chalk that up. And who were these guys? 2 more Republicans.
Yep.
So it's not always the Democrats. And that's what's got us frustrated here. And it is a completely legitimate question to ask. Why do we put up with a Harry Reid installed Democrat who is going to pull partisan bullshit-taki mushrooms on us like she just did, causing the hassle we now have, when it could have been overridden or she could have been chucked? That's a legit question, Greg, is it not?
Yeah, and it's frustrating because we keep getting these swamp monsters out of nowhere. They just pop up. They're ugly like whack-a-mole. Their ugly little heads just pop up. Boom. And
I got the visual, so I can't give you my visual, but thanks for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sledgehammer on the whack-a-mole. But it's one of those things where it's continually frustrating and it's continually agonizing to have to fight these hurdles every single time. It's like a one roadblock after another, and then the entitlement of these people as if they are now the policymakers, because you could tell, she enthusiastically went through and just drew lines through everything that Trump promised on the campaign trail, and
no
that
doubt.
people were voting for, because she knows this is what we voted for. This is what we wanted. And she probably left that night giddy that she just made MAGA furious, because she's out here just deleting the whole agenda.
Yeah, now she did a lot more than just the guns, guys. This wasn't the only issue with the parliamentarian and the big, beautiful bill. Now, it was interesting because I had a little tweet response with a guy who was actually being reasonable. He said, "So you're going to be honest? Are you going to cry your MAGA tears on your national radio show when this doesn't pass?" And I said, "That's actually a great question. The answer to that is no. It's either going to pass or it's not going to pass. That's all there is to it. If it passes, we'll talk about why it passed, what we didn't get out of it that we wanted, some of the things that are wrong with it. If it doesn't pass, we'll talk about why it didn't pass. Nobody's going to cry any tears." It's an interesting conversation, because we're just talking about what is. It passes, that's what is. It doesn't pass, that's what is. Why? Okay? The bill's going to pass. And, is it going to have everything we wanted? I haven't read 941 pages of the damn thing, and I'm not going to. Are there good things in it? Yeah. Are there bad things in it? Yeah. That's just the way it works in Washington, folks. You cannot get everything you want all the time. Trump is not going to be your end-all every single time. He's not. He's going to do things you don't like. Nobody does everything you like all the time. I have people that hate my guts on this program that are pro-Second Amendment because they think I'm not the absolutist, and they call me an establishment rhino. You can't please everybody, and if you try, I gave that up a long time ago. I'm going to tell you what I think. You can agree with me or not. It's up to you. Call me what you want. I couldn't care less. All right? So, I'm pragmatic enough to know that, particularly now after all these years, that you cannot please everybody all the time. And Trump is not going to be able to do that either, Greg, and you know it.
Yeah, it is
frustrating.
Very frustrating.
It is frustrating because we do want it all. And when it comes to our Second Amendment, there's no reason for that NFA to be in there at all. So, guys, we're going to watch this unfold over the course of the next several hours in the House. Is Clyde going to get some steam? I don't know. What can you do about it? Pick the phone up. Use that number I gave you earlier, okay? That number, I'll give it to you right now again. Please call the House switchboard, 202-225-3121. 202-225-3121. I've already done it. You need to do it. Contact your representatives and your senators and tell them, politely and professionally, to move this and put this amendment in, okay? All right, guys, we're going to get up and do it again tomorrow, the day before the 4th of July, July 3rd. We're looking forward to a holiday weekend just like you are. Enjoy the rest of your day, what's left of it. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters. Presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thanks for being here today. Appreciate it. Mucho appreciado. I don't speak Spanish. I make it up, and I can do that. Why? Because I can. Anyway, Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it very much. I want to thank Quang Nguyen for being here. No doubt I will talk to him later because I know Quang well enough, Greg. He will call me and go, I'm so sorry I had to drop the phone call. And he doesn't have to apologize because he's got to work, But
he's got an important job.
He's got an important job. He's got important people to meet with and important things to do. So we appreciate getting the 3 segments from him and thank him for doing that in the middle of the day. He's 3 hours behind us, so that's very important. He's in the middle of his workday. So, guys, we're going to get up and do this again tomorrow, and we're going to talk more about this NFA. We're going to watch this unfold throughout the night, and whatever is. We're going to talk about it, okay? And we'll talk about what we don't get, why we didn't get it, what we could do going forward, address some of these issues that were brought up in the chat, which are all great questions, and I appreciate everybody participating in there. Thank you so much. Guys, remember, join the National Rifle Association, pick up attorneys on retainer, stack some ammo, pick up some Heaven's Harvest food, buy a crossbreed holster, pick something up from SIG, okay? Buy an Emerson knife. All this stuff matters, okay? That's why we're here, and we want another 17 years. So thanks for tuning in. Enjoy what's left of your day. We'll see each and every one of you on the radio tomorrow. And just in case nobody else has told you this yet today, I love you, and there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. See you on the radio tomorrow.